Good morning and happy Tuesday. Welcome back to the Daily Grind. I'm your host, Chump Change. This is live and recorded. For those of you that might be new here, we typically do is go over crypto news or news in general in the space. Update myself, bring you guys along for the ride. Sorry, in a little bit of a rush this morning. Mr. DJ Mines, always trolling me. Good to see you, buddy. We have Claude, Dom G, Andrew Masad. Good morning. Steven Cicero. Let's see. Paladin, good to see you. We have All Set, Nate G in the chat. Andrew Masad, I think I already said that. Let's see. Anybody else I may have missed? I apologize. Rogelio, what's up, dude? Good to see you. Canadian Miner and everybody else. I apologize. Let's do this. All right, Bitcoin, 63,962 bucks. We are finally at the start of Uptober, October 1st, today. Crazy. And we're having some crazy port strikes. We're going to get into a bunch of news on that in just a minute. We got Ethereum at 26.40 over here. We got Solana, $157. We got XRP at 63 cents. Look at that. Caspa's over here holding at 16 cents. We got Near Protocol at $5.49. Sui is up almost 10% today, 9.4 to $1.90. Look at that. If anybody's into that. APT is up 5.48% to $8.34. We got Phantom over here up to 76 cents, up 10% on the day. Looking pretty good. Let's see. Litecoin is at 68 bucks, 68 and a half, just about. Dogecoin under 12 cents is at 11.9 right now. Not too bad. Could be worse. We got BNB 580 bucks. Let's see. WIF is actually up today, 9%, almost 9.5. We get, well, 9.25, I'd say, right? $2.58. Not too bad. All right. Yeah, nothing else really jumping out at me. Pepe is kind of doing all right, but let's see over here on Crypto Bubbles. Looks like things are changing. Biggest earner of the day seems to be Hex, even though that was down like 25% or something yesterday. It was crazy. It was like a big pullback yesterday, wasn't it? Let's see. It's at a penny and a half, 17.8% up today. Crazy. Bonk is up 10.3 over here. Popcat's up 9.8. We got Phantom up 11%, again 75 cents. WIF 8.8. Jasmy's actually down 3% today to 2 cents, 2.2 to be exact. Yeah, nothing really, nothing's jumping out. Beam, I guess 8.4% is doing all right. Engine Layer, is that how you say that? $4.11. I don't even know what this is, to be honest. What happened to Aleo? Did they finally fix that problem? Because that definitely isn't in the top 100 coins. I don't see it here. I don't see it here, but it was a big one yesterday, so I don't know. Weird. All right, Flashbang Fear and Greed Index looking like a 50. Look at this. That's actually perfect. That's where we want it to be. We want it to be there. Slow climb right through October. That's what we need. Let's see. It's October. BTC can moon now. Yes, we'll have to see. We will have to see. I'm serious. I saw an old picture with Castro and what are you saying, Andrew Masad? what are you saying in the chat? Oh my god, getting into politics already. We just started. Knock it off. All right, let's see. CoinGecko over here to the top 10 coins over here on CoinGecko by coin market cap. We got Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, BNB, Solana, XRP, USDC, Lado Staked Ether, Dogecoin, and Toncoin in 10th place at a $14.7 billion market cap. Let's see. Cardano's right behind it at 13.7. So I guess about $1 billion behind it in 11th place. I still want to see Cardano get back in 10th. Let's see. Scrolling down a little bit. Near Protocols in 21st place. Litecoin bumped down to 26. Look at that. A $5.1 billion market cap. And Caspa still out of the top 30. It's in 33rd place at a $3.9 billion market cap. Everything else is green. Why is this one red? What the hell? I'm just kidding. We're gonna have to see what happens. I know there's some rumors about it getting listed. I don't know if it's actually coming to fruition or not. All right, moving on. Let's go to the mining segment of things. I gotta refresh this page. What are we looking like today? All right, over here, you guys know I like to timestamp this stuff. We got the Bitmain Antminer AL1 Pro 16.6 terahash unit making $54.37 a day. Again, this is after 10 cents per kilowatt hour. This is your profit. We got AL1 over here, 15.6 terahash unit, $51 a day. We got the AL3 from Ice River, 15 terahash unit, making $48.81 a day. So I guess the $50 range is pretty much where this has been holding the last week or so, right? So it's not too bad, I guess. Hopefully it just doesn't continue to dump down. I hope people still get decent amount of yield. I mean, $50 is pretty decent a day. if you think about it, right? I mean, I know when you spend 40 grand, that's not that much, but it's still a lot of money per day. The L9 17 gigahash unit over here making 1829, and the L9 16 gigahash unit making 1721 a day. Let's see, this Bitcoin miner still blows my mind. 860 terahashes at 11,000 watts. $15 a day. It's crazy. I wonder how much that thing is. I've never looked, but it's probably insane amounts of money. It's a hydro unit, by the way. All right, the Dragon Ball miner A11 over here mining Radiant 3.2 terahashes, $10.68 a day. How's Radiant looking actually? Let's see. Is this price going down? I feel like I heard my VIPs talking about it yesterday, but man, I was exhausted. Let's see. We have a tenth of a penny still. It's up today, so I guess it could be worse. It is overall going down in the week though, and in the last month. Also, we had a rip up at the beginning of September, and then it's just kind of slowly declining. Interesting. All right, we got, good morning Dave Jack, what's up buddy? We got the AL2 Lite over here, 2 terahash unit, making $6.43 a day. Could be worse, could be worse. I want to see what that thing looks like. That's like those little box miners, right? They kind of took the gold shell, like little box miner, and made their own. So I'm interested to know what that thing looks like. I think I should be getting the is it the KS2 Lite? I think that's the one they're gonna send over or something. I'm not sure. They said they were sending something over. I just said okay, whatever you want to do. But yeah, I'll obviously review that as soon as I get it. We got the Bitmain Antminer L7. You guys know I got this thing down at Terra Hosting. Shout out to them if you guys are interested in hosting. Links in the description. I can't run this thing at my house, so definitely way more profitable down here, but it's the 9050 over here at 10 cents per kilowatt hour. I'm making $6 a day, just about $6.08 to be exact. That is pretty decent. The Gold Shell Ale Box 3 was just announced not too long ago. I think it was like yesterday or the day before. 1.25 terahashes over here, 600 watts, making $3.33 a day. It's crazy. These things are freaking, they're just like dying slowly, but like, why? You barely get a second to breathe and like the next one's out. Like you just get this thing delivered to your door and it's like, oh, by the way, bad decision on you, I'm dropping a new one and it's cheaper. Bruh. I don't know if it's actually cheaper, but just in general, it's like you feel like you just get stomped on. It's terrible, absolutely terrible. Anyways, I'm done looking at this stuff. You guys want me to look at anything specific? I assume not. Ice River AL0, this thing's making $1.29 a day. It's getting wrecked. RX0, I don't even think people got these yet. It's making $1.15 a day. Crazy. I'm gonna be honest, guys, listen, I don't yeah, this is the one I should be getting right here, the KS2 Lite, by the way. 2 terahashes, making 87 cents a day. Bruh. Anyways, I just want to see what this thing looks like. But the miners, I want to tell you guys, don't buy them. Just don't. I wouldn't personally. I wouldn't. So I'm gonna tell you guys not to. I would just buy the coin if you believe in the project. All right, if you think Radiant's gonna do well, just buy Radiant. Think Lithium or Caspa are gonna do well, just buy Lithium or Caspa. Like, it's as simple as that. Please, this is the time right now before the run to get in, not to chase profits on ASIC miners. That is just my straight honest opinion. All right, GPUs, let's do it. Let's see what we got. Leo over here, top of the charts, guys. Please go mine a Leo. Take all of Red Panda Mining's profits, please. You guys should be making a decent amount over here on a Leo. I wouldn't hold it though. It's not a hold for me. I would just sell it. If you're gonna mine it, sell it. My opinion, you guys do what you want. 40.90 a Leo, $3.02, I guess, after 10 cents per kilowatt hour. You can see his little power cost right here down the bottom left. Yeah, it seems like that's top of the charts for pretty much every single card. Block X and the 170HX, Block X and Pyron dual mining, Conflux and Pyron, not too bad. Nice hash, I'm not a fan of nice hack. Let's see, Xano 7900 XT on that card, and Chlor, look at that, Chlor's on top of the charts too. What's Chlor doing? I really wish Chlor was in Tantrum. Could please get Chlor to Tantrum, that'd be nice. Up 5% today, nice. That's at 10 cents, almost 11 cents, so we're getting there. We're getting there. It's still a decent buy, I would say. It's got an AI platform, so I mean, it's really kind of one of those coins that, yeah, it took quite the shit, but if it could have another run up, who knows? It's never seen a bull run, right? It's never seen a bull run, so Teach his own. Do what you want. Actually, is it 80% down? I think it is. 75% down, so we're close. All-time high was 44 cents. Anyways. Oh, God. Oh, flashbang, sorry. But this is the calculator on Radiant. What was it? 200 and, what was it, 280 or something? No, am I wrong? Probably wrong. The RX0. We were looking at this yesterday. Sorry, 280, 260. 260 is the gigahashes. So this is the Radiant you'd be getting per day. 1,200 coins. 1,230, just about. Interesting. All right. Anyways, moving on to the news segment of things. We got to blast through this with a lot of stuff to talk about. We got the port strike is going to be it's going to be messing things up. You guys better get to the grocery stores and buy everything you guys need. I'm going shopping right after this. I'm dropping my kid off at school and going to grab some stuff. But a multi-week port strike could have a cascade effect on supply chains. We definitely I don't want to see another COVID crisis and trying to buy toilet paper. Do you guys remember the toilet paper aisle was just completely wiped out, and like paper towels and stuff? It was insane. We're gonna see another friggin' something like that. So yeah, I don't know. Invest in your bidets now.
Welcome back. We could be less than 11 hours away from the first International Longshoremen's Association strike on the East Coast in nearly...
It's even sooner than that. When was this? Hold on. When was this video put out? 16 hours ago, so we're already fucked. We're in it.
50 years. Around 50,000 port workers are expected to strike across the East and Gulf Coast, shutting down 36 ports and halting billions of dollars in shipments. One of my next guests says the era of permanent volatility is upon us. For more on that and what the strike could mean for the U.S. economy, let's talk to Lisa DeKnight. She's Newmark's Managing Director of National Industrial Research. And Steve Odland is CEO of the Conference Board and a CNBC contributor. Great to have you both here. Lisa, what are the implications and how long is this expected to last?
I think it started this morning, Mr. DJ Mines, like 3 in the morning or something.
Well, thanks for having me on today. And I will say the top line takeaway here is duration amplifies impact. If this strike goes on for a couple days, the implications are rather short-lived, I'd say. If this drags on, it has cascading impacts throughout the global economy, not just the U.S. economy. So
I heard like $5 billion a day or something. If this, like, as long as this continues, so just keep adding it.
So the unpredictability of this issue here is really in play, and it has the magnitude to really throw a giant wrench in global supply chains.
What is the duration? I haven't actually looked to see what people are saying about how long they expect it to last, and what to you would be the difference between a minor disruption and something more substantial?
A minor disruption of even a couple of days has really significant implications for certain industries, pharmaceuticals, auto manufacturing, but a couple days in net would not have terrible impacts or long-term impacts. If we look past a week or 2 weeks, that will require months of recovery.
Oh, dude, I'd be so mad. You see that this chart, Bob's Discount Furniture? I forgot they ship all this shit over. Like, you guys ever buy one of those memory foam mattresses? They like roll it up as tight as they can in this like freaking box that's like this big, and you open it up and it's like like explodes. But dude, that's gonna ruin this store. This entire store is gonna be freaking ruined because they shipped everything over in containers. That's crazy. All these stores, look at this. That's insane.
Require months of recovery.
Wow.
So there's a substantial difference every day that a potential strike goes on.
LG, Home Depot.
Damn, I gotta build my shed. I gotta go buy some wood today too. Fuck.
Oh, Hyundai, Continental Tire. Steve, those are just some of the companies potentially who do the most business through these ports and could be most affected. How should we expect them to respond and deal with this?
It's a good thing my kids love pizza, because we're gonna be ordering pizza every single day if the stores get wiped out. Until they don't sell it.
You've got people who have built inventories in anticipation of this, but there's only so much. And Lisa's right. I mean, any disruption, they're saying, every day is a week's recovery. But what happens then is the prices go up. And so you'd see big impact on inflation. And that would happen right away, irregardless of what happens to supply. And so that would be a ripple effect through the economy. Now, we're sitting here on the next Fed decision. If the Fed sees this and you've got layoffs going on, if you have plant shutdowns and so forth because you can't get parts. Remember, if you can't complete an item if you're missing one part out of thousands of parts. So it's, you're just throwing the whole supply chain into imbalance here. You see that, you see borrowing costs start to go back up. You see the Fed saying, hey, wait a minute, you got inflation going back up. I better pause on this. Then you see the net effect of the stock market reacting to all of that. So this could be, a really calamitous situation. But the problem is we're sitting here 1 month away from an election. The president has said that he's not going to invoke Taft-Hartley, which would give an 80-day period to resolve this thing. The two parties are
80-day period to resolve this thing. What?
way apart. The shippers are offering half of what the union is asking. So this is not close. This is not an 11th hour thing. We're far away. So this could be up to a month. I mean, if you have a situation where the administration is not willing to get involved. Now, if I was the administration, I'd get right involved, try to help negotiate it. I understand the Taft-Hartley thing, but if they could negotiate a settlement, they can come out a hero. If they don't, you throw the nation into some level of economic chaos, going right into an important election.
And right as many people are saying, hey, the economy's actually in pretty good shape. So, Steve, your firm has some great numbers to put to this. You think every week it could cost the economy about $4 billion.
Oh, $4 billion.
These ports do about a quarter of U.S. international trade on the East Coast, including 87% of commodities, including oil and wheat, which I think is interesting. So, Lisa, if this does blow up in the next couple of weeks and become quite a nuisance, will the ramifications then last into the Christmas shopping season?
For sure, yes. Now, I will say that a lot of shippers saw this coming and have brought in goods ahead of time. There's been a lot of diversion to West Coast ports already. We've seen very strong import growth year to date. In fact, the third largest volumes of import growth year to date of any period in time. So I do see nice cushions in business inventories. That being said, there's only so much you can bring in ahead of time. And then when you talk about specific things like perishables, you really can't front load perishables. Bananas, for example, I was eating my morning banana thinking, wow, lots of bananas come in via East and Gulf Coast ports. You can't really front load bananas. You can't really pivot to air freight for bananas.
What is this thing with bananas? GPU risers. Mike, he always looks up the banana price when he's going over like prices of anything. Like, what the hell? That's so random.
So there are specific implications that come down even on an individual commodity level. Luckily, a lot of goods have been brought in ahead of time, especially if the duration is relatively short. We shouldn't see much of an impact to the holiday season.
Sure. Here I thought bananas would have been a West Coast import, so I need to go do some checks on the global supply chain and get up to speed there.
She's like, I eat them for the shape, not the taste. All right, moving on. Port strike would be headwinded for retailers and consumers. Real quick, somebody asked what it was all about. So apparently it's for wage increases. They offered to increase it by 50%, right? But the workers said it wasn't enough. They want job security and better working conditions, apparently. That's what they're striking over. So, yeah, let's do it.
For more on the impact this could have on retail, let's bring in Telsey Advisory Group CEO Dana Telsey, who's here on set at the NASDAQ markets. Dana, welcome. It's great to see you in person.
Thank you. Great to see you guys in person, too.
Should we be worried at all that Christmas will be ruined for the retailers? How much stuff is already here?
You have a bunch
I'll get you Tickle Me Elmos now.
of stuff here already. A lot of things got brought in July and August. But to your point earlier, look at Best Buy, Christmas in September. Look next week, Amazon, Target, Walmart. Look at even Bloomingdale's, Friends and Family, 19th through the 30th of September. So it is a concern because anything that's going to make prices move up or delay Christmas, when already you're having a consumer who's so bogged down with other things, geopolitical or elections, it's a headwind for the retailers and a headwind for the consumer.
Dana, you're in the Hall of Fame in the space.
Thank you.
It's a first time. Is it a first time in almost
Maybe
18?
in person.
I like the in-person thing.
Yes, it's good.
It's amazing. So let me ask you this. We're trying to figure this out. The dollar stores have been disastrous now for a while. Is that more tell on them, or is it sort of a tell on the lower-end consumer and the economy by definition?
It's a tell on the lower-end consumer and the economy. Take a look at the strength that Walmart and Target have had. Take a look at the off-pricers. The dollar stores are losing share to these other players. And Dollar General is going to get hurt from this port strike also if they didn't bring in goods early enough.
Well, yeah, it's because you go in the dollar store, nothing's a dollar. It's like $5.
It doesn't bring in goods early. I mean, I would think that the bigger ones, they've learned their lesson from the pandemic. They do it proactively. But who's sort of more of a just-in-time retailer, if that even exists anymore?
Apparel. I mean, you have a lot of apparel companies that are just in time. The Abercrombie & Fitch is doing just in time. You have a lot of, whether it's the others, the Gaps are doing just in time. The ability to chase with agility is one of the things that after you had the headwinds of supply chain from 2 years ago, they've all become better at having inventory that meets what the customer wants. Let's see holiday 2024.
So let me ask you about high end.
Yep.
So we saw a big rebound just on the China news and sort of okay, maybe they'll save the day. But what do you think of, it's been a very difficult year for high end. What do you think of that market right now?
I'm concerned about the high end. I think when all the European luxury goods report their sales middle to end of October, I think China's sales are going to be down 30% plus. It's a headwind. When Tiffany is closing or reducing the square footage of their Shanghai flagship by 50%, what does that say? And it's not like you're getting the pickup from Europe or from North America, so it's a sluggish time in high end.
Some from Japan.
Yeah, some because the Chinese are going to Japan. That's a benefit. When I always think about high end, who's going to benefit over time? You want to be with LVMH. They are the bellwether because of the different category extensions and the strength of their brands that they have.
Danny, you just mentioned that obviously holiday season is kind of coming earlier. We've seen that for years now. What are you expecting as far as discounting? Because that seems to be a trend that we see. The earlier that the holiday season starts, especially online, it seems like once the discounting starts, it really never ends, and it actually goes through early into January.
Exactly. When you think about what holiday is, that month of January is key because don't forget, it's the redemption of gift cards too. I think we're going to have a more promotional holiday season in 24 than 23. It's starting already because also getting this consumer to unpack their wallet. Look at the savings rate that we've had, where savings rate has come down too, and that aspirational consumer of the middle income level, they're going to watch those prices. So I think it will be more promotional. And there's the haves and the have-nots. You look at the haves, Birkenstock, Deckers, Abercrombie and Fitch, and the off-pricers and the discounters. That is where the action's at.
Is there any concern about the notion of restocking and if they have to get more goods, they cannot because of the port strike?
Some of them, but most of them have already brought in enough goods.
Right.
And you know who the benefit of this is at the end of the day? As goods come in, because we've all heard the statistics, every day it could be another week to 10 days or even up to 6 months until you get the flow correct. Hello, off-pricers. TJX, Ross, and Burlington, they're going to be the beneficiary of goods that won't come in on time.
Oh, I know where to shop now.
How do you see it? So my understanding is Walmart is actually the most exposed to the port shutdown, but on the same end, like they're probably better capitalized than a lot of the other retailers. Like, how do you see them faring or like more exposed to the strike?
Well, let's not forget also, what is Walmart's biggest percentage of sales coming from? Food and grocery. So yes, it's discretionary too, but food and grocery is going to bring people in there on a regular basis. And the trade down or the go-to to Walmart from the dollar stores will only help them this holiday season.
Weird. Dave Jack, I'm not sure. I see all your stuff. Well, as far as I know. Looks like I see all your stuff. But if you say certain words are blocked on my channel because those fucking bots put the comments in the friggin' in all my videos, so I have to block certain words. All right, Fed caused the economy to overheat is a major concern, warns market researcher. Let's see what they got to say over here on CNBC television. Let's do it.
Our next guest worries that the Fed could go too far still. Let's bring in Wall Street forecaster Jim Bianco, Bianco Research. Jim, great to see you in person. Go too far in what way? Because today, the baseline that he laid out seemed to indicate 25 basis points at the next two meetings.
Yes, you're right. He used the magic words over time, which meant don't expect another 50 basis point cut right away. Maybe we'll do 25 and 25. I fear he's going to go too far in that I'm in the no landing camp, that I think the economy's okay. He kind of said that too. He talked about normalizing interest rates. The market thinks that's cut them all the way down to the low threes, that might be too much, and that we might stimulate too much, and we might see a resurgence of inflation, and that we're going to go too far the other way.
So we were talking earlier about the port shutdown and what this could mean for inflation, right? So we could see a spike in inflation. Do you think that weighs on his comments at all, and what does that matter for policy?
Well, the port shutdown is going to be complicated for the Fed in a lot of different ways. You're right. One, if we see that shutdown last for any significant period of time, let's call it more than 3 days, especially if it's more than a week, you're going to see shortages. You're going to see shortages in stores. You're going to see higher prices. If it lasts more than a week, you're going to see a lot of people getting laid off. And there is an argument to be made between the port shutdown and the hurricane. You could be looking at a negative payroll report for October into November, 5 days before the election. There's still a lot of moving parts with that as well. This would just completely complicate everything that the Fed is trying to do because they're not getting a good read as to what the economy is actually performing.
What are your takes on the re-steepening of the yield curve? Historic in terms of the amount of time that was basically inverted. The speed with which we've gotten to, 20 basis points or so is interesting. What does it mean, if anything?
Well, you're right that the yield curve had been the longest that it had been inverted. And I think the takeaway from that was interest rates were not that punishing. I know the Fed talked about that they were restrictive and that they were dragging the economy. From the last rate hike to the first rate cut, last rate hike August 23 to the first rate cut 2 weeks ago, the S&P was up 23%. So it didn't seem to bother the stock market that we were stuck at 5% interest rates. The re-steepening of the rates, I think, is somewhat of a bearish signal. Bearish in that the front end of the yield curve at around 365 in the 2-year note is essentially pricing in the entire move. So if the Fed does cut rates 200 basis points, what should the 2-year note do? Nothing, because it's already priced it all in. What should the back end of the yield curve do? That's where mortgage rates are set with the 10-year yield. They should rise if we continue to see a steepening. So a steepening at this time and at this setup is probably a bearish call on interest rates.
Let's say the port strike or in the hurricane muddies the the data that comes in? Do you think the Fed would be more inclined to err to the side of waiting and just stepping back and saying we're not going to, we're going to proceed with what we plan, or err in the way of going too far?
I think they'd probably slow down. I don't think that the Fed wants to be viewed, especially when it comes to the inflation story. Let's remember, May of 2022 was the only meeting President Biden had with Chair Powell, and he literally pointed at him and said, America, this is a guy who's going to get rid of inflation. And if you have that optic, because the Fed is political, of a big inflation number, and then they decide that they're going to ignore that and start cutting rates aggressively in the face of that, that could be not a good optic for the Fed. So I think they'd probably go 25 until they see that data settle out once we got past it.
Interesting. Why do they do this shit at the end? It's so annoying. All right, moving on to the videos kind of the day, right? Bitcoin on pace for strongest September. Actually, you know what? This is still kind of news, right? Investors weighs on economic outlook. Let's see what they got to say over here on Crypto World.
All right, let's talk about the top stories. Crypto financial services company Swan Bitcoin is suing former employees, alleging they stole the company's Bitcoin mining plants. The filing claims the ex-employees resigned near simultaneously and joined a company under the name Proton, an entity it says was created to use Swan's mining tech and secrets. The lawsuit also alleges that Tether, which is not a defendant in this case, helped the defendants with legal cover. A Tether spokesperson told CNBC that it's aware of the allegations in the lawsuit, but denies any implications of wrongdoing. A day after the court filing, Swan Bitcoin CEO Corey Clipston posted on X boasting the company's revenue and recent launches, and said that mining is segregated and that recent news does not affect Swan's core business. Next, Binance founder Changpeng Zhao has shared his first public post as a free man. CZ entered a 4-month prison sentence in California over allowing money laundering under his leadership at Binance and was released on Friday. And on Sunday, he shared an update on X thanking supporters and said he would take some time to figure out next steps. He did provide an update on a few areas of focus, including his educational platform, investing in blockchain, AI, and biotech, charity, and a book he's writing. Now, CZ stepped down from his CEO role at Binance as part of his plea deal in November of last year, and that company has since been under the leadership of Richard Tang. Last, Donald Trump says the crypto project backed by his family, World Liberty Financial, is now open to eligible people. In a post on X, the former president announced the whitelist was open and said that it was, quote, your chance to be part of this historic moment. Now, when you go to World Liberty's website, it asks you to connect a wallet, and World Liberty has claimed that this DeFi platform would work to ensure US dollar dominance and drive mass adoption of dollar-pegged stablecoins, but beyond that, details on this project are still scarce. Now, CNBC reached out to World Liberty and the Trump campaign, but haven't heard back yet. You can check for the latest news on this over at CNBC.com. All right, let's go back to markets for our main story. As we close out September and the third quarter, I spoke with Bill Barhyde of Abra to get his take on crypto's recent rise and his expectations long term.
I want to start off with, we're ending September. Bitcoin's looking like it's going to be up about 8% for the month. Just talk about your reaction to what we've seen, especially this turnaround toward the end of September. Once the Fed decided to cut rates by 50 basis points, we saw this sort of turnaround for the cryptocurrency market. React to September for me.
Sure. I think there's a couple of things going on. First, there was broad consensus that the Fed was going to cut rates, but more importantly, that the liquidity cycle has now started. And by liquidity cycle, I mean that there's kind of a global coordinated effort to push stimulus into the monetary systems across the world. China, Japan, the United States, Western Europe, et cetera, et cetera. Obviously, whatever the U.S. does has a much bigger effect on global markets than other countries because of the global dominance of the dollar. But many were expecting 25 basis points. Clearly, markets globally have now begun to price in 50 basis points, and the feedback from the Fed that we're going to be getting more stimulus. China announced over the weekend, I believe, that the biggest stimulus probably in 15 years, I think since 2007 or 2008. Traditionally, certain risk on assets, Bitcoin have kind of trailed stimulus and liquidity by maybe 6 to 10 weeks. And so many had priced in 25 basis points and maybe slower stimulus. So maybe there was a little bit of that. But in broad measure, Bitcoin, because it's kind of a fixed float asset, deflationary over time, tends to be more of a levered bet on stimulus, right, and on liquidity. So we would expect over the next several months, Bitcoin to appreciate significantly versus kind of traditional risk on assets, and I would expect it's probably 4 to 6 weeks before the fund really begins.
I want to do that look ahead in just a second, but if I can stick with just the past quarter, actually, I was doing some math before we had this conversation, and it looks like Bitcoin's going to be up about 2% for the past 3 months, while Ether's down 24%. What do you think is behind that spread there that we're seeing, especially because in recent months, it feels like Ether and Bitcoin have been a little more in tandem, and now we're seeing this split?
Yeah, I think what's happening is that there's a competition between L2s and Ethereum and Base. from Coinbase, and that's having a negative impact on expectations for revenue generation via the Ethereum network over time as more and more transactions can move to L2. I think the bigger narrative for me is what's happening with second generation L1s. And by that I mean Solana, Sui, Aptos. I'm super bullish on these next generation, what I call L1s. Solana, Fire Dancer is now live. The number of apps being developed on Solana that I saw at the recent conference is astounding. So I think we're basically seeing a narrative shift in the broadest sense possible here. I think that people are looking at the future of AI and the integration of crypto and AI and saying, I don't think this is going to work on these layer twos. And I think that these kind of highly scalable L1s have a better shot, in my humble opinion, so far. At least that's the kind of techie narrative of winning that market. And we'll see how it plays out. But I think that's hurting kind of expectations for Ethereum in the short term and probably represents significant potential price appreciation for the other L1s as well. Now, I do think that Ethereum is going to go up along with other crypto assets in the next kind of cycle, but its narrative has shifted significantly.
That's a good point. I mean, you're talking about these alternatives to Ethereum that have captured the attention of the market in some capacity. And if I think to Wall Street, I mean, we've had these Bitcoin ETFs, we've had these Ethereum ETFs. Bitcoin did seem to garner some attention. Ethereum ETFs, not so much, but people are already talking about Solana ETFs. And if you're talking about the attention that these L1s are getting from developers, does that translate into a potential ETF if it does get approved?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't really care. I mean, look, what matters to me is where is decentralization headed, and why does decentralization matter? I love the fact that we have free marketing from institutions who want to capture some of the value being created by the decentralization movement, whether it's Bitcoin as digital gold or Ethereum, which I think to the last point is actually going to move more towards the institutional platform for decentralized products, and the others are going to basically be kind of the scalable global platforms for decentralization. And yeah, institutions are fine, and along with everyone else, to capture some of the value created there. But I care way more about what this decentralization movement means long term, what it means for AI, what it means for banking, what it means for freedom, which is mostly money these days, right? Et cetera, et cetera. And in that regards, I'm super bullish, and I think we're on a very healthy track.
Mr. DJ Death Star, thanks for being a member for 8 months. Appreciate you. He said, not used to being able to catch you for a live stream that starts this early. Thanks for all you do. Appreciate you, dude. Thank you so much for being a member. You're awesome.
So talking about that next, evolution of DeFi, of crypto over the next 3 months, we'll say the next quarter, what should people be looking out for? What are the things that you're paying attention to in this market?
So there are 3 narratives that matter to me right now, personally, right? So, and that I track a lot at Abra. The first is, Bitcoin as kind of a hedge as sound money. Not necessarily a hedge against inflation, but just a hedge against government policy run amok, right? And I think we're seeing that play out. Larry Fink has woken up institutions to that, but people all over the world in emerging markets, in war zones, in Ukraine, they figured this out on their own. They don't need Larry Fink to tell them that. Number 2, I think that there's this kind of convergence coming between crypto, smart contracts, and AI, right? When you think about autonomous agents can't be autonomous if they require a centralized stored value bank account system to process transactions that can be shut off, right? Just like truckers in Canada can have their bank account shut off, right? So crypto and smart contracts is the only way that's going to work. And I believe that it requires a highly scalable, always on, highly available layer 1 technology to make that happen. And these next generation layer 1s are showing great promise. And the last narrative that's interesting to me is gaming and memes, right? So the great thing about gaming and memes is they've acted as a fantastic test bed over the last couple of years to show us that these next generation L1s can scale massively. Basically, millions of people have participated in a global test to show us that using meme tokens and games, that we can actually build scalable, decentralized systems now, which we couldn't before, right? You couldn't build scalable applications on Ethereum 5 years ago because the transactions would have cost you $15, $20, whereas now they're basically free, right? And so these 3 things are basically showing us that we can move and migrate toward a truly decentralized internet, which is what the internet was supposed to be all about in the first place.
Final question real quick. I have to ask about price. We've had a lot of people talk to us about markets and say that they expect Bitcoin to still hit new all-time highs by the end of the year. Are you in that camp? Do you believe that? And does it matter if it does or not?
Well, first of all, I don't give investment advice in general, but in my opinion, it doesn't really matter, because if you look at the liquidity cycle over the next 18 months to 2 years, we have to refinance the debt at lower rates. If we don't, we're screwed. And so what that means is massive amounts of liquidity has to come into the system to do that. And as a result, I think Bitcoin is going to, skyrocket over the next couple of years. I think the advanced layer ones are also going to skyrocket, and I think Ethereum is going to also appreciate significantly as well. Is it going to happen in December versus March versus next summer? I obviously have no idea, but I do believe it's going to happen.
It will eventually. Ethereum will take off eventually. Oh, fucking A. I just exited out. God damn it. I meant to make it bigger. Fuck. All right. We're going to watch Altcoin Daily's video because I don't have time for Mr. Anthony Pompliano's, but I recommend you guys go listen to this. I'm going to listen to it after this. This is with the new CEO of Binance, right? Not CZ, obviously the new guy. So I would, definitely go see what he has to say over here on Anthony Pompliano's channel. I have a link down in the description below, but let's see what Mr. Austin over at Altcoin Daily has to say. We're going to bump this up to 1.2, and I'm going to find that little article I was literally just going to show, and I X'd out again, so give me a second.
So we would expect over the next several months, Bitcoin to...
Major Bitcoin dip today. Do not be fooled. There's a lot going on here. In this video, we will talk about what comes next in Q4 and future outlook for 2025. Before we get into this, please be aware if you hold these altcoins, major unlocks coming in October.
All right, hold on. This is what it was. Sorry, try not to exit out this time. Visa launches platform for banks to launch and test tokenized assets. This was put out September 25th, so a couple days ago. The key takeaways here are Visa launches VTAP to help banks issue and test fiat-backed tokens on blockchains, and then BBVA is testing the platform and plans to launch a pilot on Ethereum in 2025. So yeah, it's only, Ethereum, now that it's labeled as not a security, it's going to open up the doors for a lot more things. And that's why I think Ethereum is going to do very well.
SUI, October 1st, 64 million SUI tokens unlocked. That's 2.4% of the circulating supply. Aptos, October 11th, 11.3 million Aptos tokens unlocked. That's 2.2% of its circulating supply. Celestia, October 30th, 175 million Celestia tokens unlocked. That's 82% of its circulating supply.
That's crazy.
If you hold these coins, expect volatility around these dates. This is why you subscribe to Altcoin Daily. We share info with you that the mainstream media ignores. We give you an edge in crypto. So let's get into it. My thoughts.
We'll shill to you every 5 minutes too.
For Bitcoin Q4 and 2025. Now, we did break through this support line, meaning don't expect us to break up over all-time highs right away. There was a lot of resistance here, and now that we broke below this, I'd say we're range-bound until proven otherwise. I think it's less likely we make it back to the bottom of this range this time, but of course that is possible. I am expecting much bigger things going into Q4, however. Understand, market conditions are different now. There's a reason we saw a 20% plus rally here. Abra CEO Bill Barhide is a crypto market expert. He articulates perfectly here why Bitcoin is actually in an uptrend and why you should expect a big move in about 4 to 6 weeks.
First, there was broad consensus that the Fed was going to cut rates, but more importantly, that the liquidity cycle has now started. And by liquidity cycle, I mean that there's kind of a global coordinated effort to push stimulus into the monetary systems across the world. China, Japan, the United States, Western Europe, et cetera, et cetera. Obviously, whatever the U.S. does has a much bigger effect on global markets than other countries because of the global dominance of the dollar. But many were expecting 25 basis points. Clearly, markets globally have now begun to price in 50 basis points, and the feedback from the Fed that we're going to be getting more stimulus. China announced over the weekend, I believe, that the biggest stimulus probably in 15 years, I think since 2007 or 2008. Traditionally, certain risk on assets, Bitcoin have kind of trailed stimulus and liquidity by maybe 6 to 10 weeks. And so many had priced in 25 basis points and maybe slower stimulus. So maybe there was a little bit of that. But in broad measure, Bitcoin, because it's kind of a fixed float asset, deflationary over time, tends to be more of a levered bet on stimulus, right, and on liquidity. So we would expect over the next several months Bitcoin to appreciate significantly versus kind of traditional risk on assets. And I would expect it's probably 4 to 6 weeks before the fun really begins.
So besides price, what crypto narratives should we expect to pop over the next 6 months? Is it AI? Is it DePIN? Is it something to do with Bitcoin or Ethereum or BlackRock? What 3 crypto narratives are hot in 2025?
So talking about that next, evolution of DeFi of crypto over the next 3 months, we'll say the next quarter, what should people be looking out for? What are the things that you're paying attention to in this market?
So there are three narratives that matter to me right now, personally, right? So, and that I track a lot at Abra. The first is, Bitcoin as kind of a hedge as sound money, not necessarily a hedge against inflation, but just a hedge against government's policy run amok, right? And I think we're seeing that play out. Larry Fink has woken up institutions to that, but people all over the world in emerging markets, in war zones, in Ukraine, they figured this out on their own. They don't need Larry Fink to tell them that. Number two, I think that there's this kind of convergence coming between crypto, smart contracts, and AI, right? When you think about autonomous agents can't be autonomous if they require a centralized stored value bank account system to process transactions that can be shut off, right? Just like truckers in Canada can have their bank account shut off, right? So crypto and smart contracts is the only way that's going to work. And I believe that it requires a highly scalable, always on, highly available layer one technology to make that happen. And these next generation layer ones are showing great promise. And the last narrative that's interesting to me is gaming and memes, right? So the great thing about gaming and memes is they've acted as a fantastic test bed over the last couple of years to show us that these next generation L1s can scale massively. Basically, millions of people have participated in a global test to show us that using meme tokens and games, that we can actually build scalable, decentralized systems now, which we couldn't before, right? You couldn't build scalable applications on Ethereum 5 years ago because the transactions would have cost you $15, $20, whereas now they're basically free, right? And so these three things are basically showing us that we can move and migrate toward a truly decentralized internet, which is what the internet was supposed to be all about in the first place.
So what I'm expecting is sometime in the next 4 to 6 weeks, so sometime in October, maybe very early November, we finally can break above this resistance. Now, right now, the resistance is at about 66,500. Perhaps in 4 to 6 weeks, the resistance will be at 65,600-ish. Either way, we have to break above this resistance. We'll probably retest all-time highs, probably come back down, retest the resistance, which has turned to support. So after Bitcoin is clearly above $70,000 and the market realizes that, I expect that's when what the Abra CEO is talking about. That's when we're really going to see things skyrocket. So I expect Q4 of 2024, Bitcoin breaks above all-time highs, and then the next narrative is Bitcoin's going to 100K. Bitcoin's challenging 100K. Now, whether that happens in Q4, it is possible. I'm not sure if it's likely at this point. Of course, if things get really bullish, it could be likely. I expect in Q1, maybe even Q2, but probably Q1 of 2025, Bitcoin hits that 100K. And then we have, who knows, 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, where we really see Bitcoin rally. And then it's a question of, well, how high does Bitcoin go for 2025? That's what I'm expecting. Guys,
what do you think? Once it goes over 100K, are we coming back down below it? Or could we? I'm going to just bump forward because he's going to talk about his channel.
Let's jump to this. Give us your price outlook.
Final question real quick. I have to ask about price. We've had a lot of people talk to us about markets and say that they expect Bitcoin to still hit new all-time highs by the end of the year. Are you in that camp? Do you believe that? And does it matter if it does or not?
In my opinion, one, it doesn't really matter, because if you look at the liquidity cycle over the next 18 months to 2 years, we have to refinance the debt at lower rates. If we don't, we're screwed. And so what that means is massive amounts of liquidity has to come into the system to do that. And as a result, I think Bitcoin is going to skyrocket over the next couple of years. I think the advanced layer ones are also going to skyrocket, and I think Ethereum is going to also appreciate significantly as well. Is it going to happen in December versus March versus next summer? I obviously have no idea, but I do believe it's going to happen.
Fucking just cuts them off like that? Just cuts them off like that? What the hell? Anyways, all right. Let's get into the recap segment of things. I do want to show you guys this real quick. Shout out to Mr. I believe it was DJ Death Star. It was DJ Death Star sent me this. Let's see. Yesterday, you sent me this, so thank you for that. Gram mining is over. There is 2 billion? Yeah, 2 billion, 2.5 billion was tokens were burned. It says today, 8 months after the launch of Gram, I made the decision to conclude the mining experiment and burned all tokens of proof of work givers. Then it says burn transaction. It says burnt again, 2.5 billion. Market cap went from 8.4 million to 9.12 million. Bruh. What does this like? What? Insane. All right. Anyways, let's see who's here. If you guys have any questions, obviously say whatever you'd like in the chat before we get out of here. But yeah, that's kind of crazy. All right, Bitcoin $63,720 just went red right in front of our eyes. Ethereum, $26.29. Solana, $156. Actually, if you guys are interested in Tangem, if you don't have the Tangem wallet yet, links up in the pinned comment. You get 10% off of TCXD, but you can stake Solana now within the wallet. I actually was not able to update. I'm still not able to update my iOS for some reason on my iPhone 12. It will not take the new iPhone update, but I updated Tangem again this morning, and now staking is available. So if you can't get if you couldn't update your phone for some reason, Tangem, it works now if you just update the app again. So I updated it again, it works fine. So I just put it into the whole staking thing this morning, so we're gonna see what happens. It's like I think it's 6.75 to like 7 something percent APY, so why not? I just took what I had in there and threw it in. It is what it is. It takes like 3 days to get situated, so once it's situated, I'll keep you guys updated on it. XRP is just under 63 cents. We got Caspa at 16 cents, LTC at $68. Let's see, Sui is up today to $1.89, up 8.25%. Phantom is up to 75 cents over here, 8.32%. ETC is just under 20 bucks, 1976 to be exact. Dogecoin just fell below 12 cents. It's 11.8 to be honest. Let's see, ADA 38 cents. Near Protocol $5.47. Nothing else really jumping out at me. BNB's 577 bucks. Let's see, anything changed over here on Crypto Bubbles? Doesn't seem like it. Doesn't seem like it. Still seems to be Hex biggest winner of the day, $0.015. Phantom 8.4% up on the day. Yeah, HNT's up 6%. $8. Damn, HNT's $8. Holy shit. Flashbang Fear and Greed Index is at a 50. It is dead center neutral, so everything is looking fantastic. Can't complain. Can't complain at all. You guys, appreciate you for hanging out with me today on the Daily Grind. Sorry I started a bit late, but unfortunately I do have to get out of here. Daddy duty calls. Gotta get these kids to school. You guys have a great, happy, and safe Tuesday, October 1st. Hopefully we see things starting to lift off, but with this whole port strike, don't forget, go grab some shit just in case the stores get like wiped out, because I'm assuming this is gonna start like some sort of mass panic. So you guys do what you want. I don't know, invest in your bidets today, because toilet paper aisles are about to be wiped out. No pun intended. All right, I'll catch you guys later. Have a good one. I'll see you tomorrow, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace out. Have a good day.
If she don't hawk to her, we don't talk to her.
Eat shit, Gary.